The regular meeting for the Aurora City Council of Monday, January 11th, 2021 is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Here.
Councilmember Berzins.
She's saying she cannot turn her camera or audio on. I don't know if she needs another link.
Okay, I'll send her a new one. Thank you. Councilmember Coombs.
Present.
Councilmember Gardner. Councilmember Gardner. Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Hiltz.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Johnston. Councilmember Johnston. Councilmember Mercado.
Present.
Councilmember Murillo.
Present.
I'll try to send another link to Councilmember Berzins to see if we can get her back on. Councilmember Gruber, are you there?
Gruber says he's on. And Gardner says he's on.
I tell you what, while we're working on these technical issues, if we could do an announcement for the call-in line, and then we'll finish the roll as hopefully these systems come up.
Jyoti, you want me to make an announcement in Spanish for the Spanish line?
Yes.
The City Council welcomes feedback from residents at council meetings on both matters appearing on the agenda and during public invited to be heard. For those watching on Channel 8, please call 855-695-3475, and when connected, and also for those already connected, press *3 to get in the queue to speak. You will hear a prompt confirming you are in line to speak to an operator, and then be able to continue listening to the meeting until the operator comes on. The operator will take down your name and agenda item that you wish to speak on and place you in the queue. Residents who would like to speak on a specific agenda item and have not already been screened, please press *3 before the item is called by the clerk. Callers who did not sign up for public invited to be heard before 6:30 may still press *3 and sign up to speak on non-agenda items at the end of the meeting. Depending on the volume, it may take a few minutes to connect with the operator, so please be patient and stay on the line. As long as you heard the prompt after pressing *3 and can still hear the meeting in progress, you are in line to speak to an operator. Thank you.
Quickly for Spanish interpretation, I have the phone number. I don't have their PIN to be a participant before I make the announcement in Spanish. Does anyone, this is the Spanish interpreter for the council meeting today. Does anyone have the PIN number for the participants to call in? I have the number to be the moderator, but they didn't provide me with the general participant's PIN to enter the phone call.
Sorry, if you can give me one moment, go ahead and make the announcement, and I'm going to pull up that PIN real quick, and then I'll announce it.
Okay, great. Hola, buenas tardes. Bienvenido a la reunión del Consejo Municipal de la ciudad de Aurora. Si le gustaría escuchar toda la presentación en español, tenemos una línea telefónica para la interpretación. A favor de llamar a número 877-820-7831 y pronto vamos a tener la contraseña o el número PIN para entregar como participante en la línea telefónica. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. And the PIN number is 254610 pound. That's 254610 pound.
Y para la línea telefónica en español, otra vez, el número de teléfono es 877-820-7831 con el número PIN 254610 y marca el número y debe de entrar como participante. Muchas gracias.
Would clerk please finish the roll call?
Yes, Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Burzins, Councilmember Burzins, Councilmember Gardner.
Here.
I think we're still having some difficulties with Burzins. We're working to get her on the line right now.
Okay. We'll proceed. A moment of silence. I'd like to offer a moment of silence for those who are suffering from COVID and who have been lost to this horrible contagion. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes for November 16, 2020. I need a motion.
Mayor,
Councilmember Marcano.
thank you. Move to approve 5A.
Second. Gruber.
It's been moved by Councilmember Marcano, seconded by Councilmember Gruber to approve the minutes of November 16, 2020. Discussion. Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the minutes for November 16th, 2020?
Mayor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston, Councilmember Johnston. I can see you, but I can't hear you for some reason. Okay. Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
and Councilmember Burzins. Not sure if we got her on yet. I don't see Councilmember Burzins on yet, so looks like we have all the other votes besides hers right now.
Okay. So you need a motion to approve the minutes of December 7th, 2020.
Mayor, so moved.
Mayor,
Councilmember Gruber.
second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by Councilmember McConnell to adopt the minutes from December 2nd, 2020. Discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the...
Mayor, sorry.
Yes. Councilmember
Yes,
McConnell.
I would like to offer an amendment to the minutes to reflect a correction based off of the advice that we were given during the Mayor Pro Tem votes. And that is that I'd just like to, I guess, issue a statement of clarification that since we were told we could abstain, but later we found out we could not, that the intent was to vote yes for Councilmember Murillo and no for the remaining candidates. So that doesn't change the outcome. I just want that intention stated in the minutes if possible.
Very well. See, and Councilmember Coombs.
Yes, Mayor. Similarly, I would like to clarify that both of the instances where I abstained, the intention was a no vote, and it was only due to the process that it was listed as an abstention because we were not asked the question of yay or nay.
A question of the city attorney's office in that, can I do this in one vote, or do I have to do separate votes on each motion?
You'd actually be approving the minutes, and then these council members are actually giving statements of clarification. So you can do that as one.
Okay. Further discussion?
So we're going to vote on the amended minutes, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion?
Mayor, I made similar abstentions and would like to clarify that as well.
Okay, and Councilmember Murillo. Just point of clarification, I'm sorry, from the city attorney's office, that do we have to vote on these amendments first and then vote on the amended minutes, or can I just do it all in one motion?
You can do it all in one motion.
Very well. Okay. The question before us is the adoption or the approval of the minutes as amended. Let's see. I need a motion on that, I think. I do need a motion on that.
Mayor Dave Gruber, so moved.
Been moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember McConnell to approve the minutes of December 7th, 2020 as amended. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bergen.
Oops. Yes.
Oh, sorry, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm sorry.
That's okay, yes.
Councilmember Hiltz,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
and Councilmember Burzins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember.
Very well. Proclamations or ceremonies. Martin Luther King proclamation. This is in honor of the Martin Luther King commemoration week for the city of Aurora, the longest in the country. Whereas the United States President and Congress established by law a national holiday on the third Monday of January beginning in 1986, honoring the birth and work of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15th, 1928 in Atlanta, Georgia, and assassinated on April 4th, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Lorraine Hotel while supporting the sanitation workers. And whereas Dr. King received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 and is regarded internationally as the drum major for justice, and whereas having been the uncompromising champion of nonviolence, Dr. King initiated significant changes in the fabric of American life, demonstrating unthinkable faith, unshakable faith, to lead others by example, resisting resisting the temptations of hate and fear. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dedication and commitment is matched only by the ongoing power of his words, which still call us to protect those sacred ideas enshrined in our founding document. Now, therefore, I, Mike Hoffman, Mayor of the City of Aurora, Colorado, do hereby proclaim this week of January 10th through the 18th, 2021, as the 35th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Week in the City of Aurora, and encourage participation in the activities to commemorate his life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Aurora, Colorado to be affixed this 4th day of January 2021. Mike Hoffman, Mayor. The proclamation was submitted to the City of Aurora by Dr. Shannon Bannister, accepting our Dr. Vern Howard, who is the Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Colorado Holiday Commission Chairman, and Dr. Greg McDonald, Chairman of the Aurora Communities of Faith. Omar Montgomery, President, Aurora NAACP, Pastor Debbie Stafford, Aurora Community Health Center, Jordan Clark, the Cell, and the Meisel Museum. We have an amazing Aurora Award, amazing Aurora Award, going to Ivan H. Taylor, a 35-year resident and United States Air Force veteran, is hereby declared an amazing Aurora for his many musical contributions. Could others please mute? Amazing Aurora for his many musical contributions to the Aurora, Buckley Air Force Base, and Rocky Mountain Veterans Affairs Associations. We appreciate you sharing your guitar and vocal talents at the Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center's ribbon cutting ceremony, the Buckley Air Force Base Retiree Appreciation Day, the Quilts of Valor ceremony, and Mayor Mike Hoffman's swearing in ceremony. Thank you for reflecting the true spirit of Aurora. We encourage you to continue giving back to the community with your gift of music. Thank you again for all you have done and continue to do to benefit our great city of Aurora, Colorado. And now we have a swearing in of judges by Chief Judge Dr. Chief Judge Sean Day.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bergen, members of council. I hope that you can hear me okay. We are actually over at the courthouse. You'll probably be able to see from our camera all of the judges that are here tonight to be sworn in. It is my great honor to introduce to you in the Aurora community in 18th Judicial District Court Judge Don Toussaint, who will honor our court and our community with administering the oaths to each and every one of us. So with that, I'll turn it over to Judge Don Toussaint.
Good evening, everyone. Judge Dave, you can raise your right hand.
Not sure how we want to do it, but is that best, Mayor, that way?
That works.
That looks good.
Okay.
Okay. I, Sean Day,
Having been duly reappointed
as presiding judge for the city of Aurora, Colorado,
as presiding judge for the city of Aurora, Colorado,
do solemnly swear or affirm
that
I will faithfully and impartially administer the affairs of such office
administer the affairs of such office
in accordance with
the
constitutions of the United States of America
constitutions of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Aurora
of the city of Aurora
to the best of my judgment
to the best of my judgment
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. If I can have Judge Deanna Aguilez, Judge Christopher Colley, and Judge Daniel Cobb. If you could please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Dan Collins,
Having been duly reappointed as Associate Judge for the City of Aurora, Colorado,
Associate Judge for the City of Colorado,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
administer the affairs of such office
administer the affairs of such office
in accordance with the constitutions of the United States of America
the constitutions of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinance
and the ordinance
of the city of Aurora
of the City of Aurora
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Judge Sean Day, and congratulations to all of the other judges. Do we have any more? Oh, I'm sorry.
More judges to keep going. We have 3 more ceremonies.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Mr. Frigo?
Thank you, Mayor.
Raise your right hand for me. I, Peter Frigo,
I, Peter Frigo,
having been duly appointed
as
Associate Judge for the City of Aurora, Colorado,
as Associate Judge for the City of Aurora, Colorado,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
administer the affairs of such office
administer the affairs of such office
in accordance with
the Constitution
of the United States of America
the Constitutions of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the City of Aurora
of the City of Aurora,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Big shoulders. Thank you. I love you.
All right, if I can have Judge James Anderson, Judge Robert Garvey, Judge Jonathan Lucero, Judge Tricia McCarthy, and Judge Karen Steinhaus. If you all can raise your right hand for me. I state your name.
I, Robert Garvey,
Having been duly reappointed
as
as municipal judge for the City of Aurora, Colorado,
a municipal judge for the City of Aurora, Colorado,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
administer the affairs of such office
administer the affairs of such office
in accordance with
in accordance with
the constitutions of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the City of Aurora,
of the City of Aurora,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right, if I can have Mr. Marcus Ivy, Ms. Michelle LaFleur, Mr. Mark Solomon, and Ms. Rebecca Watton. And after they take their oath, one by one, the families can come robe. We'll start with Mr. Ivy first. If you all can raise your right hand for me. I state your name.
I, Marcus Ivy,
Having been duly appointed as municipal judge for the city of Aurora, Colorado,
as municipal judge for the city of Aurora, Colorado,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
administer the affairs of such office
administer the affairs of such office
in accordance with
in accordance with
the constitutions of the United States of America
the constitutions of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Aurora
of the city of Aurora
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Family for Marcus Ivy, if you come up, Judge Ivy. Judge Michelle LaFleur. Congratulations. Congratulations. And Judge Rebecca Watton.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, that concludes the swearing-in ceremonies for the judges. Again, as always, thank you for your continued support for our court and for your consideration in the appointment and reappointment of all our judges. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations to our new judges, and for those judges that are continuing to serve our city. Thank you very much for all you do. I appreciate your dedication. Thank you. With that, public. Let's see. With that, public invited to be heard.
Mayor, there's nobody currently in the queue to be heard right now.
Very well. Adoption of the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
Move to approve the agenda with items 13A and 13B removed.
Second.
Well, I need to know what removed means.
They will not be heard tonight. Councilmember Murillo and I will decide whether or not to bring them forward at a future meeting. Most likely, we will continue them to the 25th, but right now, it's just to remove them from tonight's agenda.
Well, let me tell you what my suggestion is, because if you just, it requires a more specific motion. You can postpone to a date certain, or you could postpone indefinitely. And so I guess maybe city attorney's office might want to opine on this, but my suggestion is you go ahead and postpone until January 25th, or if you want to go a future date, but then you have a specific date that you postpone to. You could always then go to that date and postpone it further. City attorney?
And that is correct, Your Honor. I should point out that both of these items were not moved by the entirety of council, but these were put on to the agenda by specific council members under their council prerogative. But again, yes, moving it to a specific date is a better idea.
Which day would you like?
Then I'll clarify, we'll say the 25th of January.
Okay. There is an amendment to the adoption of the agenda to postpone, what are the two items? I'm sorry. 13A, is it?
A and B.
13A and B until January 25th. I need a motion. I need okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by.
I think I did.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Bergen to move item number 13A, 13B to January 25th. Does that require a vote, or can I just say, is there any opposition?
You may go with, is there any opposition?
Okay, very well. Is there any opposition to that? Okay,
Just
then.
Clarification. So it's moving to the 25th, but then it could be postponed again?
They always have. Any member always has that discretion.
Okay, thank you.
To postpone. Okay, I believe there's, clerk, I believe there's one more issue.
Yes, item 13D needs to be moved on the agenda to public hearing. A legal notice was sent to the Sentinel and published December 31st. So the only problem is it's on the wrong part of the agenda. So this is the amendment to the UDO pertaining to general aviation airports.
I'm sorry, where does it need to move over to?
13D is going to move under 11, public hearing with related ordinance.
Okay. Okay. Is there any objection? Seeing none, item number 13D will move under item number 11, public hearing with related ordinances. Are there further amendments? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the agenda as amended. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Mercano.
Yes.
Okay, it passed.
Very well. The question before us now is the adoption of the consent calendar. I'm sorry. Item number 8A, reconsideration of resolutions. R 2020-24 to suspend certain council rules. Clerk.
Yes.
What is it?
Roll, or does anybody have? It's the same item that was on the last agenda you approved. That way we can go forward with this meeting today. Is there any clarification that council members need?
Okay. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 8A. Any discussion? I'm sorry, motion.
Mayor,
Oh.
so moved.
Moved by Councilmember Mercano, seconded by
Bergen.
Councilmember Bergen to approve item number 8A. Discussion. Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of item number 8A?
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Mercano,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes.
The item passed.
Question before us is the adoption of the consent calendar, item 9A through 10D. Motion.
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
move to approve item 9A through, is it through 10D or is it through 9D? Sorry.
9.
Oh, yeah, so 9A through 9D.
Oh, 9D, I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by, sorry, who was it?
Gruber.
Councilmember Gruber, to approve the consent calendar items 9A through D. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the consent calendar item 9A through D. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Mercano,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo, Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes. Yes.
The consent calendar passed.
Would the clerk now please read the title to item number 10A?
10A is Resolution 2021-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, approving the agreement between the City of Aurora, Colorado, and the High Plains Metropolitan District for snow removal and plowing operations, the Blackstone community.
Motion.
Mayor, move to approve 10A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by
Bergen.
Councilmember Bergen to approve item number 10A. Motion. I'm sorry. Discussion.
Mayor.
Councilmember Bergen.
Yeah, I just want to point out that this is basically a pilot program and that will be reevaluated next year. And they will be abiding by all the inspections by the city.
Well, further discussion. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10A. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Mercano.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Item 10A passed.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 10B?
10B is the Resolution 2021-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, appointing 5 members to the Board of Directors of the Porteas Business Improvement District.
Motion.
Mayor Berzins.
Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move to approve 10B.
Has been moved by Councilmember Burson, seconded by
Gruber.
Councilmember Gruber to approve item number 10B. Discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10B. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Burzins,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Mercano,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Item 10B passed.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 10C?
Item 10C is Resolution 2021-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, expressing the Aurora City Council's approval of a contract with the team of May and Watkins Design of New York to create and install public art at the Green Valley Ranch Neighborhood Park.
Motion?
Mayor, move to approve 10C.
Moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by Councilmember Johnson to approve item number 10C. Discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
can we have a brief presentation from staff on this
Yes.
item?
Yes, staff presentation?
Yes, I'm here. I can make the presentation, Roberta Bloom.
Please proceed.
Councilmember Coombs, you're asking me to just run through the proposal, is that correct?
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry.
So this is the proposal by Carol May and Tim Watkins to create a piece of artwork called Listen to the Whispering Wind for a new park being developed in the Green Valley Ranch East neighborhood in Aurora. And although this is in a metro district, because the art is going into a park that is going to be turned back over to the city, the artwork, the whole process for selection of the artwork is being handled by the Art in Public Places program, and it will become a permanent work of art in our public art collection. So the art selection panel had determined that they were looking for a sculptural seating arrangement, and there were two different sites that were available for them to choose from. There were three different, there were over 100 artists who applied, and three different artists were selected as finalists and were invited to make formal presentations to the art selection panel. All of it was being handled remotely. The art selection panel decided that this piece by Carol May and Tim Watkins best met the criteria established in the call for entry. It provides seating for possibly up to about 20 people on each side of this sculptural seating arrangement. At some time during the day, because of the nature of it, some portion of it will always be in shade and some in sun. And they're going to use steel, aluminum, stainless steel pipe, and perforated stainless steel mesh as the primary materials, along with a cast glass disc that will catch the sun as it rises and sets. This is a view from above, so you can get a sense of the footprint for the piece. The piece is, I believe, going to be installed. I think they're finalizing the site to be on the northern end of the park, which is closest to the area where the primary restrooms are going to be. And they imagine this becoming a gathering place during their public events, such as farmers markets. And here you can see the artwork from different angles. And I think sitting on certain portions of this, it might actually feel like a throne. These are some examples of past work by this team of artists, including on the left, a piece that's been up in Fort Collins for several years, which does give a sense of the ability of their work to withstand the Colorado climate. This is a sample foundation drawing, so to provide a sense of the kind of foundations that they use for their artwork. And in their proposal, they show their team at work. And these are some examples of smaller sculptural seating arrangements that they have done, primarily in Louisville, Texas. The budget for the project is $138,400, and they put together a very detailed budgetary proposal that really left the art selection panel with confidence about their knowledge about what they're doing and their ability to complete this work. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, discussion, further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
I just wanted to thank Roberta, the Art and Public Places Commission, and the art selection panel. I think this is a really exciting piece, and I'm just glad to see it moving forward. So thank you for sharing that with us, Roberta.
Thank you.
Further discussion, questions? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10C. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Gruber. I'll come back to him. Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Item 10C passed.
Will the clerk now please read the title to item number 10D?
Item 10D is Resolution 2021-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado for the Second Amendment to Surface Use Agreement and 3 related easements.
Motion?
Mayor, move to approve.
Been moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Marcano to approve item number 10D. Discussion? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Councilmember Coombs.
Just again, a brief presentation from the Water Department, please.
Presentation, please.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Alexandra Davis, Deputy Director of Water Resources for the Aurora Water Department. I'm not sure why my video is not showing up on my screen, but it's on. So I apologize that you apparently can't see me. Oh, there I am.
There we go.
Hello. This agreement is with, to accomplish a couple of things for the benefit of the city of Aurora. This will allow Petro Oil and Gas Company, and I'm just pulling up my notes. I thought I had them up. I apologize. To remove well.
Alex, you are breaking up. We can't really hear you.
Mind for water storage. By removing this infrastructure and agreeing to plug and abandon 4 wells that are located in this area, which is the Everest Combi North Campus structure that feeds Prairie Waters. This is a clean well for storage. It will ensure less maintenance. There will be no other clutter or items within the property that.
Excuse me, Alex.
So.
Yeah.
Are you
You're
able to turn your video off? This Councilmember Johnston, that might help with the bandwidth, but you're really choppy. We still want to hear from you, but I don't know if the video is impacting the reception.
Okay. I am sorry. I've been having
perfect.
video.
That's great.
All day. Is that better? Okay.
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, let me then start again and to let you know. So this agreement is with Petro Operating Company, Top Operating Company, and LG Everest. And it's an amendment to an original surface use agreement that encumbered land that the city of Aurora purchased when we were acquiring the Everest Reservoir Complex. The Petro, as a party to the amendment, has agreed to plug and abandon 4 wells located in the complex, 3 of which are currently located inside an area that's going to be a storage pit. Petro has also agreed to remove all the pipelines associated with those wells and to disconnect and remove all power lines. The removal of this infrastructure will allow a number of benefits to the city of Aurora. By removing this infrastructure, we are getting rid of clutter and infrastructure that we might otherwise have to maintain in the future, or we would otherwise have to remove in the future. It will allow more space to be mined in the pit area, which will result in additional water storage to the city. And finally, by removing the pipelines, which are currently piercing the slurry wall and repairing, the Petro has agreed to remove those pipelines and to repair the wall to our specifications. This will enable a stronger slurry wall that will be better infrastructure for the city. Petro is acquiring the ability to install 12 wells within the assigned oil and gas operating area, and that area is outside of the proposed pit. So it will be away from the storage as opposed to how it currently is configured, which is within the storage area. So it provides several benefits to the city and to the other companies as well. And I will stop there and ask for any questions.
Questions, further discussion? Thank you. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 10D. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Murillo. Councilmember Murillo. Councilmember Hiltz. Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Mercado,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
and Councilmember Murillo.
Hello? I'm a yes.
Yes, okay, the item passed.
Very well.
Thank you.
Would staff please do another announcement for the call-in line? And the time is now 7:26, and I would like to take a 5-minute break to 7:31. Council is now in recess until 7:31.
Letting you know that you are in the line to be screened by an operator. Just hang on. It may take a minute, but we'll get to you as long as you've heard the prompt and can either hear music hold or the meeting in progress. Council will take a 5-minute break to allow any speakers to sign up. Again, please be patient. Thank you.
Español, hay una línea telefónica donde se puede marcar y conectarse como participante para escuchar a la interpretación en español. El número de teléfono para llamar es 877-830-7831 y entrega el número PIN. Eso será 254610, el marco de número para conectarse como participante en la línea telefónica de interpretación al español. Muchas gracias.
The Access Live event is in music hold.
Is back in session. A public hearing with that, with related ordinance. Would the clerk please read the title to item number 13D, and then I'll open up the public hearing.
Item 13D is for 2020-04 for an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending section 2.6.2.C.2.A of the UDO pertaining to the 60 LDN sub area, removing general aviation as a descriptor of the airports in order to provide consistent regulations with the noise contours of airports and near the jurisdictional boundaries of Aurora. And there's nobody in the call-in line, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Okay, there's no one. Well, public hearing is now open. Is there anyone to speak on this issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Motion? A motion to adopt.
To approve.
Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Gruber moves to approve item number 13D. Second.
Second.
And seconded by Councilmember Marcano. Discussion? Seeing none, the question before us then is the adoption of item number 13D. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hiltz?
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Berzins?
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston? Councilmember Johnston? Councilmember Coombs? Mayor Pro Tem Bergen?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Yes, I think you called Councilmember Murillo.
Councilmember Gardner?
Yes.
And Councilmember Johnston? Okay, Councilmember Johnston did not vote, but the item passed.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 13A?
Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry, 13A is, okay, that's right. Let's see, 13C. Would the clerk now please read the title of item number 13C?
13C is an ordinance 2020-03, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, amending section 2-769 of the City Code pertaining to residency requirements for persons appointed to boards, commissions, committees, or authorities.
Motion?
Mayor, move to approve.
To move by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by?
Second.
Councilmember Marcano to approve item number 13C. Discussion?
Mayor, this is Dave Gruber.
Councilmember Gruber.
Mayor, I move to make an amendment to 13C.
Go ahead.
And is to require residency of either citizenship or residency of the people who will join the city's commissions or boards.
How do you define residency?
Immediately prior to the meeting, I sent the verbiage. I'll read.
Okay.
Should I have a second, or should I read the verbiage?
Go ahead have a second first. So a second. It's been seconded by Councilmember Bergen, Mayor Pro Tem Bergen. Discussion.
Mayor, if I could. So what it says, I'm adding to the words where it says all applicants desiring to be members of any city board. And by the way, all the council members have this in email. All applicants desiring to be members of any city or board, commission, committee, or authority established by either the charter, ordinance, or resolution shall, if not citizens of the United States, produce a valid and current copy of their permanent resident card showing that they are lawful permanent residents, or alternatively, they shall produce a non-expired U.S. visa showing they are lawfully within the country and are currently eligible to remain in the United States for the entirety of the term to which they seek appointment. Later on in section 3, which is section 2-769.3, I've added a sentence there that says, If the city clerk obtains evidence which in the sole and unfettered opinion of the city clerk indicates that an appointed board, commission, committee, or authority member is not a current resident of the city of Aurora, is not a lawful permanent resident of the United States, or is not present in the United States on a lawfully issued current visa, which allows their stay through the end of what would be their appointed term, their board of commission, the city clerk shall transmit that information to city council so they can determine whether their appointment ought to continue or not.
I think the point of clarification, and that is this one amendment or two amendments?
This is one amendment to the ordinance that's coming forward.
Very well. Discussion?
Mayor?
Councilmember Coombs.
I just want to clarify a couple of things. Substantive amendments of this kind typically are requested to be transmitted 24 hours in advance to give folks an opportunity to review and discuss, and that wasn't done. Notwithstanding that concern, I just want to clarify that some discussion of this was had in the study session, and I did clarify that Barb Dahl, who was the city clerk staff member in charge of boards and commissions at the time when this item first came forward to committee, did convey to me a concern about making the residency verification process more cumbersome for staff, or for putting staff into a position of being expected to enforce laws or adjudicate, which putting someone's immigration status into the ordinance would do. The intent of this ordinance is purely and simply to provide an opportunity for there to be other documents presented other than voter registration for the purpose of verifying residency on boards and commissions. And as I explained at that time, was brought forward because there is someone who has been a resident of our city for years, has repeatedly tried to apply to boards and commissions, and was immediately and summarily denied due to lack of voter registration, which he doesn't have due to not being a citizen. I don't think that, just as we shouldn't be expecting staff to adjudicate or enforce immigration law in any other scenario, we also should not be doing so in relation to people who are residents of our community, interested in volunteering their time and contributing to our city. Thank you.
Okay. You've raised a procedural point. Let me defer to the city manager on that. Is there a requirement for advance notice when it comes to substantive amendments, such as the one offered by Councilmember Gruber?
Thanks, Mary. I'm not aware of one, but the rules may specify some time period, and perhaps the city attorney has those rules handy. I don't know, or maybe he knows.
City attorney?
And yes, there is a 24-hour notice period when you're able to do that.
What does that mean, when you're able to do that?
It's a little unclear under the council rules, so it gives some latitude. Again, you're trying to not take other council members unaware of what the subject matter is. I don't think that's happening here, as that was discussed at the previous study session.
Okay, very well.
Mayor, may I respond?
Yes, Councilmember Gruber.
So what we're talking about, the purpose of the resolution is to eliminate the use of voter registration as the identification for people who would like to become members of our boards and commissions. And again, keep in mind the commissions that we're talking about, the Civil Service Commission, for example, has legal responsibility over the police force and over our civil service.
Mayor, point of information.
Hold on. Councilmember Gruber, finish, and then I'll go to Councilmember Coombs.
We also have our Citizens Advisory Budget Committee, our Water Committee, and many others. So what this ordinance does is follow through with what we discussed, and that if the purpose of this is to make it simpler for people to simply register to become a member, and instead of using a voter registration, use another piece of identification, that's one thing. And this is what we discussed in study session. If the purpose of this is to eliminate the requirement for someone to be a legal resident of the city of Colorado or the city of Aurora, that's entirely different. So based on the discussion that we had at study session, I'm offering this amendment to ensure that a person is either a citizen or a legal resident and then participates. It's very similar to what I supported with the police officers to allow police officers who are legal residents or candidates who are legal residents to compete to become a police officer.
Further discussion.
Mayor.
Councilmember Coombs.
So to clarify, this is not intended to eliminate the use of voter registration. It actually still says that voter registration alone is sufficient and that that's the first thing staff will use. It simply says that other documents can be provided. So let's be clear about that. There's no intent to eliminate the use of voter registration.
Mayor, if I could respond.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let Councilmember Coombs finish.
There's other points that you made that I want to respond to. And the other point is that this came about because I contacted staff and asked them if that voter registration requirement for boards and commissions is intended to make sure that people are citizens when they are participating in boards and commissions, and they said no. And I have one more, which is that specifically those boards and commissions that are that requirements are set in charter, including the Civil Service Commission, which you mentioned, are not included. So that's all.
Further discussion. Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Gruber.
So again, the point that the discussion that we had in study session was exactly that issue. In other words, if you use voter registration, it predetermines the fact that a person is a citizen because you couldn't get a voter registration without one. So based on that discussion, we said, well, we don't have anything that specifically says that you have to be a citizen or a legal resident. Therefore, the purpose of this amendment is to do exactly that, is to ensure that the people that are on our boards and commissions are citizens of the United States or legal residents of the United States. And their residency will extend through the amount of time that they expect to be on that board or commission.
Further discussion on the Gruber amendment. Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. I just wanted to go back to the 24 hours, and while that might not be a formal rule, it is definitely a professional courtesy to at least the sponsor and to our public. When we do something substantive, if some of the public knew that this was up for discussion, they might have chosen to testify on that issue. But also, I object to even using the term that this amendment is a residency requirement. Council Member Coombs' whole ordinance has a residency requirement. So it's dismissing, and for those who may be watching on TV, Councilmember Coombs offers alternatives such as the non-expired government issued ID, most recent income tax return, a documentation that the DMV would accept. So by calling this residency requirement, Councilmember Coombs has that too. But what is different is the intent. And Councilmember Coombs, and I don't mean to speak for her, but I know her passion of getting more people involved in our local government. Why is this a problem? At the end of the day, council members are the ones who appoint. So if we have a problem and think, are they really living here? We don't have to appoint them. But I fully support this, and I thank Councilmember Coombs for her work on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. But we did have the Councilmember Gruber raise this exact point in study session, so this is not new information to the council. Further discussion on the Gruber amendment. Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Justin, for your comments. You hit on a lot of the points I wanted to hit on. And I also have a procedural question for the city attorney. Do the rules that we use recognize a point of information?
Yes, they do. Going back, the actual rule is F3 on amendments. It actually says, whenever possible, council members are encouraged to prepare and distribute any proposed amendments to ordinances and resolutions at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting.
Thank you. I do have a follow-up, Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you. So could you, for the courtesy of the public and for our colleagues here, explain exactly how the point of information is to be used?
So point of information, a council member makes that, then that issue is to be answered first before moving on with the rest of the discussion by council.
Okay, and that may be used during someone else's speaking time, as long as it is not used to basically repeatedly interrupt.
Yes, as long as you're not hijacking the conversation, yes.
All right, great. And is the chair obligated to recognize a point of information?
And again, the chair, the mayor in this case, that is at the mayor's discretion, but that is actually in the procedural rules for council to recognize points of order.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion on the Gruber amendment to the Coombs proposal resolution. Councilmember Bergen.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say on the 24-hour notice on amendments that we have put in our rules, when that was done, I was on the rules committee, and I believe our attorney said that it's kind of a point of courtesy to try to give 24 hours, but we have always the prerogative to have an amendment with no notice. And this was, I mean, we did get notice, but you could even have an amendment with no notice. That's our prerogative, is my understanding.
That's my understanding as well. Could city attorney's office opine on that?
And that's why you have such qualified language whenever possible, and is encouraged to prepare under F3 of the council rules.
Okay, thank you. And then just a point on the actual amendment of the ordinance. So we're just simply so the staff would not be really doing additional work, because it would only be those applicants that are not, I guess, would not meet the definition of that we have in for permanent resident card and so forth. Because if they meet that, they're fine. So it's going to be a probably very, very small percentage that would even have to be, looked at more carefully. Their application, I mean.
Councilmember Coombs.
In response to that, I'm not sure that's necessarily true. If a citizen of the United States chose to instead provide a driver's license because they're, say, a confidential voter, or have some other reason that they don't want staff to look up their voter registration, we wouldn't necessarily know, or if they provided their taxes. And so I think this sets us up for a situation where our staff may be put in a position to decide whose citizenship should or should not be adjudicated and proven. And that's precisely the type of position that our staff would not like to be put in when they are simply confirming residency for the purpose of boards and commissions, and which, again, when I contacted staff to ask if the intent of requiring voter registration was to also require citizenship, they said no, that was not part of the process for determining who would be on boards and commissions.
Further discussion. Councilmember Bergen.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Coombs. I appreciate that. I took it as more the onus was on the applicant to if they were not a citizen, to provide, the valid and current copy of their permanent resident card. So I thought the onus was on them, not necessarily on staff. Maybe I'm reading that incorrectly.
Further discussion. Councilmember Coombs.
But again, how would they know? Are staff going to tell every applicant, give us your proof of residency and your proof of legal presence? Or are they going to decide which applicants to give that to? And again, does that put them in a position of honestly potentially profiling people?
Further discussion.
Berzins?
Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. I have a little heartburn over the utility bill being used as a form of residency ID. I know I have called on the phone and put Excel, I believe it was, in, for example, Jane Doe living at 1234 Main Street, no Social Security, no nothing, and they took it. So you really don't have to show anything prove anything to get a utility bill. So I have a real issue with that. If I can call and put it in somebody else's name, doesn't mean anything. That's no proof of anything.
Okay. Further discussion.
Mayor,
Councilmember Combs.
in response to that point, the reason that's included is because it is one of the items that is accepted by the DMV to establish residency and proof of residency. It's also accepted by schools and other entities in terms of establishing proof of residency.
Further discussion.
Cutting out. I didn't hear a thing you said.
Did everybody else hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just
Okay.
Councilmember Berzins, just that, and hope, can you hear me now? Okay, that's in there because it is accepted by the DMV for establishing residency. It's also accepted by schools. It's accepted by legal entities as a document that legally demonstrates residency in a specific location.
Okay. Further discussion on the Gruber amendment to the Coombs resolution.
Mayor, just to wrap up, when we discuss this in committee and in our study session, my intent or my thought was to make it easy for the citizens or make it easier for the citizens to simply show their residency so that they could participate. It wasn't until study session that it occurred, during the discussion that's only part of the reason. The actual reason is to let people that are in the city, undocumented people in the city, to become members of the boards and commissions. That was new news to me, and I'd been through been through it a couple of times. So what this does is to clearly show that those people that are citizens and allowed, that are permanent residents, legal residents, are allowed to be on boards and commissions. If we vote against this, then what we are saying is that you do not need to be a citizen, you do not need to be a legal resident to be a member of boards and commission. That's exactly how simple this amendment is.
Further discussion on the Gruber amendment to the Coombs resolution. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Gruber amendment to the Coombs resolution. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Councilman Gruber, can you clarify the amendment that you want to make, please, for the record?
You're muted, sir.
U.S. citizenship or U.S. residence required. That's the name of the amendment.
And
legal U.S. residence required.
What's the full text? I'm afraid you have the full text of the amendment.
Again, I read the full text. So the title would simply be legal U.S. residents, citizens and residents.
Okay. Clerk, do you have the full text?
Yes, that works. Thank you.
Very well.
Okay, so Mayor Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz?
No to the amendment.
Councilmember Berzins?
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson?
No.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston?
No.
Councilmember Marcano?
No.
Councilmember Coombs?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen?
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo?
No.
Councilmember Gardner?
Yes.
Okay, the 5 yeses and 6 noes, the amendment does not pass.
Very well. Further amendments to the Coombs resolution? Seeing further discussion to the Coombs resolution. Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the item number, what is that? 13C. 13C. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Marcano?
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins,
No.
Councilmember Gruber,
No.
Councilmember Murillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
No.
Item 13C passes.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 14A?
Okay, we do have public comment, somebody in the queue to speak. This is going to be for 14A, ordinance 2020-70, for an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Aurora, Colorado, repealing section 14-75 of the City Code pertaining to the ban on restricted breeds and amending sections 14-4 and 14-73.
Mayor.
Councilmember Murillo.
Councilmember Hiltz.
Oh, Councilmember Hiltz.
Motion to approve 14A.
Been moved by Councilmember Hiltz, seconded by
Coombs.
Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 14A. Do we go to public invited to be heard next on this issue? Clerk?
Yes, you can go to public invited to be heard.
Very well. Proceed with public invited to be heard, please.
Wish to extend my sincere thank you to the vote that you passed 2 weeks ago to release the ban on the breed. It puts the responsibility of the ownership of the dogs back on to the owners instead of banning a breed that really, I understand that there are concerns because of the history of the dogs and what people have done with them. But it puts it back on the people, and the funds that were used to try and enforce the codes and restrictions on these dogs can now be used for training and for education of the public of what these dogs really need and how to handle them. So I truly, truly extend my gratitude on this, and I hope that you can move forward with it. Thank you very much for your time.
Is there further public invited to be heard?
No, that was the only citizen.
And there's no one on the Spanish line.
Very well. Discussion on item number 14A?
Mayor Dave Gruber.
Mayor.
Councilmember Gruber.
I just wanted to point out that the city has been informed that at least one organization person intends to file suit as a result of our decision to overrule a vote of the people of Aurora, where over 64,000 voted against having pit bulls in the city, while 35,000 people voted for. I know that there's been discussion within this council that vote was not binding and it wasn't a legal vote. I guess we'll find out from the lawsuit whether or not that's true. But as I mentioned earlier, I still think that this should go back to the voters. We should ask them the same question and ask them if their minds have been changed. So I will not be supporting this ordinance.
Further discussion?
Mayor Berzins.
Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. I know this is the last vote, and I don't know if anyone's going to change their mind or not tonight. I just want to remind you that, yes, it is the owner's responsibility, but unfortunately, we have some irresponsible owners that don't train their dogs the way some other owners would train them, and I think that's a real shame. But I do want to remind you, I told you that my cousin's dog in his own backyard was killed by a pit bull type. A lady in Ward 3 posted on Nextdoor and I did get in contact with her, and her dog was attacked by a pit bull type that was actually visiting from out of town. You know, and her dog did nothing wrong. But for those of you that vote for this, just remember that you did. And when a horrible accident happens, just remember that you voted to have them back in the city. We've gotten a lot of emails from people. I've gotten phone calls, and I imagine that you did too. But, you know, a couple of comments that needs to be put in the record is that people have said votes are the bedrock of our democracy. Nullifying the voters is a vulgar display of arrogance and disrespect for the Aurora voters. This action that this council is taking shows contempt for the voters. You know, I've always respected the voters, and I have always said, if we want to do this, if you really feel like, you know, people have changed, dogs have changed, training has changed, let's go back to the voters like Denver did it. Why couldn't we do it? But instead, this goes around the voters, and it is an act of contempt for the people that voted. So I just wanted to say that, and I will not be supporting it. I didn't support it before. I haven't supported it in years. It's for the voters to decide. For me, it's a public safety issue. It's really not a dog issue. They're cute. Any dog is cute. Any puppy's cute. I love dogs. I've grown up with dogs. But the voters made this decision, and I think they should have the opportunity to make it again instead of 6 council members that don't care about the voters. So I won't be supporting this, and that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Further discussion. Councilmember Hiltz.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief because this is, you know, the upteenth time, but I do believe that the new animal code revisions and the outreach that was done was sufficient. But I am glad to hear my colleagues focus on the importance of public safety. And so I look forward to those resolutions addressing gun safety to come forward, because I think that's also a public safety issue that we should be talking about regulations on. So thank you for opening that conversation up.
Further discussion. Further discussion.
Yes, Mayor.
Councilmember Bergen.
So I wanted to just say that we did get an email from an attorney that is planning to file a lawsuit with us for, as he put it in his words, delegitimizing the voters' decision. And I struggled with this. I love dogs also, but I think ultimately that it went to the voters. It was voted. Over 60,000 votes were voted to not repeal the ban. And had it not gone to the voters, I think, then it would be appropriate for council to do this by ordinance. But the fact that it did go to the voters, I think we need to respect that vote. And I just would like it to go back to the voters, put it back on the ballot in November when we have other things that are going to be on our ballot. Thank you.
Further discussion.
Mayor.
Councilmember Combs.
I would just like to read into the record the comments of Dr. April Steele, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine from and CEO and President of the Denver Dumb Friends League. She had tried to call in during the first public meeting, but was not called due to glitches in our system. And she kindly sent in a letter instead of calling in tonight because she expected our meeting to be very long. But as it is shorter than expected, I'm going to go ahead and read this on her behalf. Mayor Kaufman and City Council members, I commend you for showing up as leaders to address Aurora's ban on pit bulls. And I understand the complexity introduced by repealing a ban that was enacted by council and subsequently voted on by citizens. As I have listened to your discourse on this topic, it occurs to me that what you are discussing and the decision you are making are two different things. Some seem to think the decision is about whether pit bulls should exist in Aurora. The reality is that pit bulls already live in Aurora. Since the enactment of the pit bull ban, thousands of pit bulls that had been living in Aurora have been voluntarily relinquished to the Dumb Friends League. Do not be fooled. Pit bulls are living in Aurora right now. Every council member is concerned about the safety of our community. This is an issue we take very seriously at the Dumb Friends League. This is exactly why it is vital to create a community where pit bull puppies can be socialized without fear of having them confiscated. This is also why allowing your citizens to adopt a pit bull from an organization that has several full-time behavior experts evaluating the animal prior to making it available, rather than obtaining it from an underground resources motivated by profit, is imperative. The fear of bringing the dog out in public, sourcing pit bulls from unscreened dog dealers, and not providing them with veterinary care or training all are incredible risks to your citizens. As a veterinarian and as the CEO of the Dumb Friends League, I strongly support well-written, appropriately enforced dangerous dog ordinances. Aurora has laid this groundwork well. Holding owners accountable for the behavior of their dog is the best way to make Aurora as safe as possible. Why does this change need to be made now? Too many families have been broken up because their family dog is a banned breed. Not because the dog showed any signs of aggression, not because the dog injured any other animal or person. These are dogs that sleep on their owners' beds, dogs who are providing essential companionship during a time of extreme isolation and critical mental health challenges. For many, a relationship with a pet is their only reason to engage with the world right now. To remove their source of comfort in this extreme time is indefensible. A majority of council members have shown impressive leadership around this issue. Please vote to repeal the pit bull ban so that your community can be safer and families can remain whole. Thank you for your time. April Steele.
Further discussion? I do feel that it ought to go to the voters and would be urging a no vote. Further discussion?
Mayor.
On Councilmember Morgan? I'm sorry.
Murillo.
Oh, Councilmember Murillo.
Thanks, Mayor. Again, I'm going to reiterate my comments. I don't know if everyone tunes into all of the meetings, so I'll also try to be brief on that same note. It took me a really long time to get to a point where I supported this for that exact reason around respecting the vote. But the more that I think about how this came to the ballot and how poorly written it was, so that it would even be an advisory vote, gives me concern. If I was a voter, I'd want to know if that was the case or not, and I'd want that corrected. Before this vote, we had also implemented a dangerous dog ordinance, which in essence does the exact same thing, except it's not indiscriminately targeting a few and actually not proven pit bull. If you go to how the city enforces a pit bull ban, there's not even agreement amongst the two major kennel clubs that there is the same definition amongst what pit bulls mean. So the term pit bull was already loaded and flawed to begin with when it got put on the ballot. And to me, it was a prior council punting the responsibility of not wanting to deal with a really, difficult and controversial vote, right? And so I think we need to deal with it now to correct past, deferral of the conversation. And like I said, I want people to feel and not feel like we are overriding a vote, because in my opinion, we're not. We're correcting something that shouldn't have ever gone to the voters in the format that it was. We knew that there was no actual breed called pit bull when that was put on the ballot. So that was flawed from the beginning. Thanks to Councilmember Hiltz in her initial inquiry when we were talking about this, and I was chair of the Housing and Neighborhood Services Committee. We also learned that the DNA tests that they use to determine the type of animal also isn't recognized by the manufacturer as being legitimate. So there's just so many flaws in the way that this was written and how it's even enforced, that in good conscience, I can't support bringing it back up in any form. And on top of that, we have an ordinance that is more broad, that doesn't just target pit bulls, but targets dangerous dogs. We do need a process to be able to handle disputes, to be able to hold owners accountable for the actions of their pets. And I think that we have accomplished that. And to me, that is the essence of an ordinance like that. So I think we've accomplished that. And this has gone through so many different public input and public outreach processes that I feel comfortable moving forward.
Mayor, you are muted.
I'm sorry, further discussion? Seeing none, would clerk please call the roll on item number 14A?
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
No.
Councilmember Gruber.
No.
Councilmember Berzins. Councilmember Berzins.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. Oh, no.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz.
Enthusiastic, yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
There were 3 noes. The vote passes. The item passes.
Will the clerk now please read the title of the item number 17A?
Item 17A is reconsideration of Resolution 2020-22, review of the powers granted to the city manager by Resolution 2020-22.
Motion.
Mayor.
Councilmember Marcano.
Move to approve 17A.
It's been moved by Councilmember Marcano, seconded by
Coombs.
Councilmember Coombs to approve item number 17A. Discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 17A. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hiltz.
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson.
Yes.
The item passes.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 18A?
18A is consideration to appoint 1 member to the Busk Ivanhoe Water System Authority.
A motion?
Mayor Berzins.
Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. Move to appoint Richard, Kynes to 18A.
Is there a second?
Second, Gruber.
Been moved by Councilmember Berzins, second by Councilmember Gruber to approve item number 18A. Discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 18A. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
The item passes for Richard Kind.
Will the clerk now please read the title of item number 18B?
18B is consideration to appoint one member to the General Employees Retirement Board.
Motion.
Mayor, move to approve David McConico to the board.
Moved by Councilmember Gruber, seconded by
Second. Mayor?
yes, second by Councilmember.
Okay.
Second by Councilmember McConnell to approve item number 18B. Discussion. Seeing none, would clerk please read would the clerk please call the roll to the adoption of item number 18B?
Yes, Councilmember Gruber, can you tell me again, David, what was the last name?
Second, it's McConico. It's in the write-up.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
and Councilmember Murillo.
Yes.
The item passes for David on 18B.
Very well. Would the clerk now please read the title of item number 18C?
18C is a consideration to appoint 3 members to the Human Relations Commission.
Mayor? Mayor? Uh-oh. I think he disconnected.
We lost him. We have the Mayor Pro Tem conduct the vote. Yes, she looks like she's with us.
Should I wait a second?
You should take over.
Yeah.
Nope. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem.
So we're on
Good for
18C.
Okay. Yes, do we have a motion for 18C, please?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Councilmember Marcano?
Thank you. Move to appoint Tremaine Duncan of Ward 1, Nicole Libertelli of Ward 4, and Katrina Chase of Ward 3 to the Human Relations Commission.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, we can call for the roll. For the vote.
Bergen?
Yes, Councilmember Berzins?
Yeah, Bergen. Yeah, I was reading their applications, and it says that Katrina Chase is Ward 3, but her address is not Ward 3. It says that she lives on East 58th Place. That is not Ward 3. That sounds more like Ward 2, but I'm not sure. I mean, it really doesn't matter, except we want the records to be correct.
Okay. Can the clerk get that corrected?
Yes, we'll look into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Call for the vote, please.
Mayor Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen,
Yes.
Councilmember Marcano,
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins,
Yeah.
Councilmember Johnston.
Yes.
The item passes.
And Mayor, you were offline for a little bit, so we are now on 18D.
Okay, would clerk now please read the title of item number 18D?
18D is the consideration to appoint 3 members to the Citizens Water Advisory Committee.
Motion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Coombs.
I move to reappoint Angie Binder of Ward 4, appoint Brandy DeLang of Ward 4, and appoint Mike Spatter of Ward 3. And I do want to make sure that I'm being transparent and honest that I did leave off one of the people recommended by the committee, and the purpose for this is twofold. The first is for better ward representation. When we did have a presentation in the in our committee that deals with boards and commissions, we did find that there was an overrepresentation of both wards 5 and 6 in our boards and commissions. And in addition, I have expressed numerous times to our water department my concern that attendance of the water tour is seen as a requirement for serving on this board and commission. Being able to attend the water tour as a person not already on the boards or commissions or on council or a lobbyist is very difficult for people to be able to do. And so it's very concerning to me that we set that requirement. And finally, when we expect people to have extended service on boards and commissions prior to becoming members of our boards and commissions, it also creates a feedback loop that keeps new people from having the experience to join our boards and commissions.
Further nominations?
Mayor?
Was it Councilmember Bergen?
Yes, I'd like to nominate, oh gosh, now I lost my place. Hang on one second. Sorry. I would like to nominate Brandy DeLang.
Okay. So now how many nominations do we have total? Is there 4?
3.
That is 3 nominations right now, and there are 3 terms up that are going to expire.
Okay. Further discussion. Well, I need a second. Was there a second? It was moved by Councilmember. We got. Was there a second to Councilmember Coombs' nominations?
Can they be repeated? I forgot what name she had.
You're muted.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Councilmember Coombs, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, I thought I unmuted. Angie Binder, Brandy DeLang, and Mike Spatter.
Okay, is that consistent with yours, Councilmember Bergen, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sorry, I nominated Brandy DeLang, and she had already done so. Thank you.
Okay, okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Coombs, seconded by Councilmember Bergen. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of item number 18D. With clerk, please call the roll. 18D.
Mayor Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner?
Yes.
Councilmember Murillo?
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
Councilmember Gruber?
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hiltz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen?
Yes.
Councilmember Mercano?
Yes.
Councilmember Berzins?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnston?
Yes.
The item passes for Angie Binder, Brandy, and Mike Sutter.
Okay. No report by the mayor. Reports by council. Councilmember Lawson.
Thank you, Mayor. Underneath the federal updates, House Democrats on Monday formally introduced an article of impeachment against President Trump, charging him with incitement of insurrection for his role in the takeover of the U.S. Capitol last week. Pretty sure we've all saw that on television and hearing reports. The full House will also vote Tuesday on the resolution calling on Vice President Pence and President Trump's cabinet to remove the president under the 25th Amendment. That's what I have for the federal update right now.
Anything else, Councilmember Lawson? Okay.
I have nothing underneath federal update.
Okay. Because we're combining now, so it's any any report you have from any of the.
Oh, for any of my other reports?
Yes. Mhm.
I don't have anything for RTD Reimagine.
Okay. Councilmember Hiltz.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, a couple of things. We have a at-large town hall meeting with me, Councilmember Lawson, and Councilmember Gardner coming up on January 21st from 6:30 to 8:30, and that will be posted online and on the city website, of course. And I also wanted to, I'm going to be switching one of my appointments. I'm going to be removing Mike Westerberg as my Citizen Advisory Budget Committee appointee and appointing Kevin Cox, who is a school board member, and I think is a great way to start having a little bit more conversation between how the city and the schools can be working together. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also thrilled about the pit bull ban repeal. So very excited to learn more from Animal Service about how that's going to unfold. And then also, and I'm sure this will be said by many of my colleagues, but also just condemn the attacks and the attempted coup at the Capitol, and express my sympathy to the officers who were injured, and hope that we can have a peaceful transition as we move forward. But also, keep in mind that it comes down from the top, but we see this type of vitriolic hatred here at the local level too, and that we all need to be very aware that how we interact with each other also matters. And I think we can all, strive to do better. And so I just wanted to share that as well. So thank you.
Councilmember Gruber.
We missed it by a couple of days, but I'd like to have a shout out to our police department and for the National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. That was on January 9th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Murillo.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start first in my capacity as the co-chair of the RTD Accountability Committee. We have been in the works of coming up with legislative recommendations. I forward those out to council so that you guys are aware of those recommendations. We've made a few tweaks based on our new general manager, Deborah Johnson, of RTD on some of the legislative recommendations that we also adopted today, that we'll be sharing with the transportation chairs to now hand off to the legislative process. We also had some breaking news. The Federal Transit Administration released their apportionment tables. Dr. Cog in that process had initially estimated up to 139 million in RTD apportionment. We actually ended up with 190.9 million from the CARES Act funding. So that bodes well for RTD and the Denver metro area in terms of transit. So really excited to be able to report that. So now transitioning into my comments as a council member, I wanted to make a change to my budget appointees as well. I will be replacing Mr. Mike Himo, and I thank him for his service and his work, with another Mike, Mike Westerberg, switching the mics to serve alongside Mr. Omar Montgomery, who's my other budget appointee. So I'm really excited about that change and excited to get the ball rolling. I wanted to, there's a lot that's happened since the last time we've met. I wanted to just have a quick moment of silence for Mr. Rudy Arguello Rios. He was a young gentleman who was shot at in the parking lot at one of our restaurants, trying to stop somebody who was dining and dashing, just trying to be a good Samaritan, and he lost his life as a result of that. So just a moment of silence for him. And it also almost feels appropriate to have a moment of silence for the attempted coup at our nation's capital. It was so deeply disturbing to see the response that happened. There's an article, I believe by CNN, that is a side-by-side timeline of the Black Lives Matter protests at our nation's capital versus the Capitol protests that happened last week, and the disparate impacts and a reaction, really preparation, that was, and the way that that was handled. And it was completely, it was just so outrageous to see the difference in reaction. You know, one group is protesting social justice, social rights, you know, human decency, and how we treat our Black community, our Black members of our community. And the other one was a literal attempted coup by people who didn't want to respect a vote that was had fair and square. And, you know, we were talking about an earlier vote today about respecting people's votes. And you know, I'm waiting to hear from those same council members to condemn what happened at our nation's capital. That it's just unacceptable. We have a lot of arguments and a lot of fights on this dais, but I hope that that's not one of them, that we can't agree that that was absolutely wrong. And it was tragic the way that that was handled as opposed to Black Lives Matter protests. So, yeah, I like I said, it almost feels appropriate to have that, but I won't. A moment of silence. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Johnston.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Murillo, for those words. Well said. And we've all been watching what happened last week, and we know we had folks who are from Aurora and represent Aurora who are there, and couldn't say it better than those words. So thank you, Councilmember Murillo. I do want to say that we're doing the work on the police independent oversight with the Community Police Task Force. We're hopefully finishing some of those so we can share that with the community, with council. We have a meeting tomorrow night. Always the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. You can go to our website. And I do also want to share, you can go to our website. We had the commemoration of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King kickoff this morning, and the city has many different events that you can participate in virtually. And we're really proud of the legacy of the city continuing to celebrate, even if it is virtual this year. So please check that out and visit that. And I just want to say, last week I had a really great town hall. Thank you, Susan Barkman and Deborah O'Connell, for helping coordinate. I had many different Ward 2 council members who participate, and other wards in boards and commissions. We did a town hall for them to say what that board or commission was about, why they joined, the time commitment. And it was just really great. We had question and answer, but it was a good overview of many of our boards and commissions. And it was great to be led by our community instead of just myself or staff. So thank you to all of those board and commission members who participated and shared their experience. And then finally, I would like to appoint a Ward 2 council member, or not council member, but Ward 2 constituent, Idris Keith, who is going to be my next appointee to the Citizen Budget Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Berzins.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I should have mentioned this last study session, but we got through it and ended it so fast, I didn't have time to grab my sheet. But I did, you know, I represent Accelerate Colorado. And since we were not able to go on the lobby trip with Accelerate in December, they have contacted me, and they are working with our lobbyists to try to get something scheduled for this summer. And so far, the stars are lining up to be possibly July the 26th through the 28th. So that's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And now that we have meetings every Monday, we are scheduled to have a meeting the 26th. So they wanted everyone to get a heads up, staff to get a heads up, us to get a heads up that if that happens, and it really is hard to schedule these things to know, when they're not on vacation, when they're not this, that, or the other. So far, this looks like a good date, depending on COVID too. So, I've kind of given staff a heads up that we'll have to reschedule our Monday because, or else we may not have a quorum. So they wanted me to do that. In February, on February the 10th, we will have a virtual Ward 3 meeting, and the sign-in will be on the city website and also on my Facebook page. It's still running by February, and also March the 10th, same thing, a virtual Ward 3 meeting. So let's hope Facebook is still up and going, and you can get the information, like I said, on the city website too. So that's all I have.
Councilmember Marcano.
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't have any update from Aurora Sister Cities at the moment. We meet later in the month. But I do have an update on our next Ward 4 meeting. That's going to be Wednesday, February 10th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to be talking all things HOA from the city's perspective, and we'll also be joined by Representative Mike Weissman and Representative-elect, and who will actually be a representative at that time, Iman Judah from House District 41, to discuss HOAs from the state's perspective. This is an issue that I have heard a whole lot about y'all and I'm hoping that we can, do some brainstorming together and hopefully get some ideas ready to roll out into the coming legislative session to make y'all's lives a little easier. And I also want to state that we do have our political differences in this country and on this council, but I'm hoping that we can all come together to denounce the attempted coup, to denounce fascism in this country, and to stand together to ensure that our civil liberties are not eroded as part of the response to this debacle. Thank you and have a good night.
Councilmember Coombs.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My first report is from Visit Aurora. Bruce Dalton wanted me to report that Aurora hotels are preparing to reopen within the state's 5-star certification program. The Hyatt Regency Aurora Denver Conference Center just received their certification, and other hotels are in the process. Visit Aurora is partnering with the Rocky Mountain chapter of the Professional Convention Management Association for the Connect with Confidence in-person event at the Gaylord Rockies on Wednesday, January 13th. This is the only in-person chapter event for the PCMA convening leaders, and it is here in Aurora. About 4,000 meeting industry professionals from around the world will attend the PCMA convening leaders event online. So in addition, I'm having my ward meeting on the 19th, that's this upcoming Tuesday, at 6:30 p.m. and we will be hearing from Tri-County Health as well as discussing folks' interest in other topics and other presentations for the rest of the year. And I'll be giving a general update, and that will be online. Until further notice, I'll be continuing to hold my meetings online due to COVID safety. And then, of course, regarding the egregious attempted coup on our nation's capital, of course, I echo the sentiments of my colleagues and I won't repeat them at length. We have to stand against this action as well as the rhetoric that has led up to it. And I do also want to thank Councilmember Gardner for bringing to my attention today some comments online that were similar in nature to the types of comments that lead to these types of attacks, and that also, alerted me to the fact that someone was suggesting that I ought to be hung in front of City Hall. And I might not have seen that otherwise, so I really appreciate you taking the time to let me know that's happening and being a colleague that though we have our disagreements, you can also express care and concern for your colleagues.
Mayor Pro Tem Bergen.
Mayor Pro Tem, you're muted. It shows you as muted.
Mute.
Oh, you're good.
There we go. Sorry, it would not let me. I tried about 20 times. For E470, actually our meeting is this Thursday, so I don't have a report. My Ward 6 Town Hall is on January 27th. It's a Wednesday from 6 to 8, and of course it will be a virtual meeting. I'm hoping to have our neighborhood watch representative do a presentation. We've had an increase in crime in Ward 6, and that have had a lot of emails and messages about the concern about the increase in crime. So I'm going to have our neighborhood watch person talk about tips about what people can do to keep their community safe. Thank you.
Public invited to be heard.
Mayor, can I give a report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss you? Councilmember Gardner, I'm sorry.
That's okay. One thing I want to mention is this Thursday, the 14th, we'll have our first Amendment 64 Policy Committee meeting of the year, and we will be discussing potential looking at hospitality as it relates to the marijuana industry in Aurora. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we also have a proposal to look at doing some medical studies at the University of Colorado campus as well. So I'm looking forward to that. As far as, I kind of wanted to address a little bit about what happened last week and just give some thoughts on it, I think, as it pertains to us. I think the most disappointing thing that I saw last week is that there were several elected officials that chose to participate in egging on people and getting them riled up when frankly, they were really just peddling conspiracy theories. I think, the election wasn't stolen. Whatever you think about the president, he lost. And it's really disappointing that we had elected officials choose to think that was appropriate. And kind of bringing it back a little bit to Aurora, I've made no secret of, I'd like to see this body have a higher level of discourse. And, there's a lot of people who don't feel represented by politicians, regardless of what party they're in. And, that's discouraging to me. And, I really would call on this group to keep in mind that people do look to us as leaders in the community. And, we've had protests at people's house. We've had threats that Councilmember Coons mentioned just a little bit ago. There's always going to be policy disagreements, and that's fine. But I think it's really incumbent on all of us to, take the example of last week. Now, it was a bad example, but it can still be the example of how to operate as leaders in our community. So, I try to do that, and I hope everyone else will as well. That's it for me. Thanks.
Public invited to be heard.
Mayor, do you mind if I add just one more thing?
Yeah, Councilmember Maria.
Thank you. I forgot to mention in my comments a community event on MLK Day, which is January 18th. It'll be held at the library. Basically, we're handing out 1,000 meals. It is free, open. People can volunteer. People can come pick up meals for themselves. They can do deliveries door to door, or they can just pick up and take to an area that they need. So it'll be staged out of my district. So I just wanted to mention that Brother Jeff's Cultural Center is going to be putting that on in conjunction with a lot of the local Ward 1 businesses. Thank you.
Public invited to be heard.
We do not have anybody in the queue at the moment.
Very well. Thank you, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
tight. I'll be here with you all